Good morning, one and all. Welcome to this e-information series number 23, organized by the Department of Medical Science, Service and Program Unit of the National Institute for Empowerment of Persons with Multiple Disabilities, Chennai. Today in this series, we have Madam Noopur Jhunjhunwala, who is the founder and trustee of Changing Foundation. And Madam will be speaking on rethinking learning disabilities, shaping India's future for ready workforce. So before we move on to Madam, I would like to just give a brief introduction about Madam. Madam Noopur Jhunjhunwala is the co-founder and trustee of Changing Foundation and a seasoned leader in global development with over 2 decades of experience. A passionate advocate for equity and inclusion, she has worked across geographies from North America to Northeast India, driving impactful change across government, development agencies, and the private sector. Her journey in education and digital inclusion with deeply personal mission to mainstream support for individuals with specific learning disabilities through the foundation she established with her brother, Mr. Kunal Jhunjhunwala. Madam has already done Memorandum of Understanding with the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, Divyangjan, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India. And today we have the pleasure in listening to Madam Noopur Jhunjhunwala. Madam, the platform is all yours.
Thank you, sir, for having me. It's a pleasure. Today, I'm going to try and give a different perspective to how we approach disabilities and especially learning disabilities. I hope this session, if nothing else, helps you all rethink our key challenges with how we perceive people who are different from us, who are physically, mentally different from us. I know this is our community of special educators, inclusive teachers. We have a greater role to play than what we do with just children. But how do we work externally with the tribe that supports the children, the parents, the teachers, the community, and what is our role in changing that perception? So with that, let me share my screen if you allow. Is my presentation visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So today we're going to talk about how can we rethink learning disabilities and what role can it play? Can these individuals play in shaping India's future-ready workforce? Now think about it. I know this slide is provocative. It's meant to be. How frustrated are you all thinking about me calling these children duffers? The truth is that they are not. They are the disruptors of the world, and I'll take you through why. But the larger challenge is this is their identity. Being called stupid, being called dumb, being called duffers every day for almost their entire life because they didn't meet a certain unrealistic standard of our society. So just a little bit about us. We're a foundation that is on a mission to unlock the potential of these individuals to accelerate innovation and growth. So while we don't work directly with them in the form of remediation and support, we work very closely with the system, government and service providers on how can we strengthen life for them. So how did this all start, right? I'm going to take you through a little women. It is a UN agency for gender equality as a global generation equality champion. She wrote her first comic series on being a dyslexic superhero called Purple Flame. She started writing those when she was 13 to really focus on how people with learning disabilities and those with other disabilities can be brought, can be encouraged and included and accepted. So this was her quote then. I may be young, but I strongly believe in defending those who cannot speak up for themselves. Whether an animal or a child being bullied, I want people to become aware that the strengths of people with disabilities and we should include them in everything. This was Nitya's transition. When I think of 8 years old Nitya, I still cry. It's not an act, it's an everyday reality that I sleep with. And yet, today she's 17, getting ready to go to college, and I'm full of hope. So, what sort of got us here, right? Like, what made Nitya's success possible? Being my child? No, it's not that. It started with an early diagnosis at grade 3. At age 8, she had a fantastic remedial teacher, Mrs. Rama Tandon, who focused on language therapy, executive functioning, and cognitive skills for her. She had a teacher, Mrs. Harveen Aluwalia, who constantly upskilled herself. She's a retired headmistress um, who never really worked closely with a child with disability before, but she worked on inclusive teaching strategies. And then Nitya is privileged to go to one of the most inclusive schools in the country. It's one of the top ranked schools, Vasant Valley in New Delhi, where there are a lot of skilled inclusive teachers, both general and subject matter. All teachers in our school go through training. They teach using multisensory ways. They include without excluding. So there is a lot of accommodations provided to support the child, but it's done mindfully. It's done in a way that the child is never segregated from the class. She's integrated. They have friends. They go for school camps together. They do class activities together, extracurricular activities together, and it's nature. So a child may have a learning disability, a child may have autism, a child may be high IQ, a child may be just a typical student, a child may have glasses, may have a limb, maybe an extrovert, an introvert, you name it, and they're all together. It's just different faces of humanity that comes together. They're all similar and alike and not alike the same way. So that's the power of how the school works. And then we built a lot of support systems around ourselves: friends, family, siblings, parents, teachers, and ourselves. Now, what's important is Mrs. Rama Tandon and Harveen Aluwalia played that critical role. As a special educator and remedial teacher, Mrs. Tandon was always reinforcing for us that it's okay, that you must talk about it, don't hide your disability. And then finally, leveraging technology, right? The phone, smartphone, maybe an iPad, a tablet, using audiobooks, allowing her to use YouTube, sort of that helped us. But the key was that our ecosystem around us let us not be shy or hide. It empowered us to give us the right and access our right to demand the support we needed. And we always got it, right? But unfortunately, Nitya is only one of the estimated 35 million children with learning disabilities in our country. And this is a big number. And what's beautiful is nothing that happened for Nitya happened because of privilege. There were no exceptions that were made for her. It is because India's legal and policy frameworks make all of this possible. The problem is the privilege of access. India's policy and India's legal framework, the RPWD Act, make her access these services and support systems. It's her right. That's what our country makes happen. The change is the privilege that because she's in Delhi, a urban city, she goes to a private school in an urban city which is aware and privileged. She's able to access that. And that is the hierarchy we need to break. So really quickly, the Rights of Persons with Disability Act in 2016 expanded the disability group to 21 disabilities, including SLDs. You and I know this, but this is something that we need to keep letting people know. It also clearly defines what an inclusive education system is, where students with and without disabilities learn together. And the learning environment is suitably adapted to meet the learning needs of different types of students with disabilities. Now, the national education policy, which came out in 2020, goes a step further. It doesn't just talk about students with disabilities, but other SEDG, socially, economically groups, and also gender as a way for inclusion, right? Um, in alignment with the RPWD Act, it talks about foundational education all the way up to higher ed. So why do people with disabilities have to go for higher ed? Because ultimately they become part of the workforce. And that's the core of what we are talking about. It talks about setting up inclusive classrooms, using of technology, and most importantly, the culture. Going back to Nitya's school, it's not just about a teacher giving her the accommodations. Oh my God, कितना headache है, अब इसको साथ में को extra बैठना पड़ेगा, school खत्म हो गया, I need to actually be home. Should I spend my time with this child who needs, who's never going to get the marks by giving her extra time and the scribe and the reader, or should I spend time on a more excellent child? None of this. It's part of the inclusive culture. And that's what our national education policy sort of brings to the fore. So the truth is, globally, 1 in 5 people have a learning disability. Now, we know them as the group that lies at the bottom, but the truth is they are the inventors. Apologies for that. Inventors, entrepreneurs, scientists, architects, technologists, artists, disruptors. If you see on the screen, you'll recognize a lot of them. In India, we estimate about 200 million Indians live with a learning disability, of which only 10 million are identified. This, we believe, is a lost opportunity. So what is learning disabilities? I think all of you all probably know it. We focus on 4 conditions within this: dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia. It's really in the difference of the way people's brains function and process information. We have to remember that it's an invisible disability, so you and me can't look at a person and see whether they're, they have a learning disability. But internally, the neurological system, the way the brain is structured and the way the brain communicates to the rest of the body also is impacted. It's individuals with average and above average IQ. This is the biggest misconception that is there in the field. We often think that individuals with learning disabilities are slow learners. They are not slow learners, they are learners who learn slowly. They have average and above average IQ. And this is key, right? The above average IQ bit, because they have lots of skills, and I'll get into that in a bit, which make them excel in many activities. And this may be a reason why they're often denied it. Arey, he has superior performance, how can they have a learning disability? So we have to keep in mind that disability, this learning disability, the ability to process information is not connected to the ability to process information at a certain speed. So the IQ measures whether it can or cannot process information. That they can do. The challenge is that they have, the way they process that information is impacted. So it's often slower, takes more time, and has some cognitive challenges around it. But that doesn't impact IQ. It's lifelong and hereditary. It runs in families. But of course, like you and me use glasses often to accommodate poor eyesight, assistive technologies and other accommodations help them. And it's only diagnosed through a formal psychometric process. People can't just look and say, "Arey, meko ye tha, so I think I have a learning disability." Dyslexia struggles with language. How many of you all can read what's happening on the screen? Can we do, like, if you can read it? If you cannot read it, can you put a thumbs up, thumbs down? For those who cannot read it, put a thumbs down. For those who can read it, put a thumbs up. Are you all able to do it? Yeah, see. Why is it that you all cannot read it? Can you all put it in the chat as to why you can't read it? It's because the things are moving around, right? The text is moving. It seems like it's changing. The words are changing, but it's actually just mirroring that's happening. And this is one manifestation of how people with dyslexia struggle. There are many other ways in which they also struggle. So it's the most common of all learning disabilities, accounts for about 80%. Then you have dyscalculia, which struggles with math. And this is a present in about 5% of the population. This is not children who find maths hard. This is children who struggle with the concept of maths. This is children who don't understand basic quantities, time. So quantities is one of the big ones, right? How does time, quantifying distance, quantifying weight, conversions of these. Now I want you to think about this. Supposing um, you're in a forest and you're seeing a tiger hunt a deer. You the think the tiger is sitting behind a tree and saying, "Are wo jo deer hai, that is like 1 kilometer away from me. The wind is at this speed and there's so much friction. And if I run at this speed, accelerating at this rate, then I can reach the deer, but then the deer will run, so I will have to run." Do you think the tiger is doing all these calculations in its head? It's not. The tiger sees the deer, knows how to calculate, instinctively can run at a speed to jump on it. That's how our people with dyscalculia are. They understand the abstract context, but to put it on paper in mathematical concepts becomes often hard for them. And Einstein was a great example of this because he did quantum physics, but he's often known to struggle with basic uh, mathematical calculations for equations. And then you have dysgraphia, it's the struggle with writing. It affects three things. One is fine motor skills. So these kids cannot read, write. They cannot write well. They write very slowly. They also have challenges with buttoning, belts, laces, things like that. But more importantly, it's their ability to put thought down on paper. But these were all academic struggles that I've highlighted. I want you to understand that SLDs actually struggle in all aspects of their life. Poor self-esteem because they're constantly being called dumb. They're constantly being judged for their spellings. One of the telltale signs is the gap in oral and written performance. This is that child who says, "Arey, aise to bada very smart in class, good communicator, but very poor in writing." Memory challenges, especially short-term requiring working memory, following multiple instructions together. They take longer to process information. They're very sensitive to overstimulation. This is linked to the memory and slow processing because right now, when we are looking at, when you all are attending this session with me, right? It's an online session. You're attending it on your phone or on your computer, and then somebody's walked into your room. There's a fan, there's probably some noise, there's a paper running, you have a phone next to you, so you are WhatsApping, you have an email that you're looking at this as well. It's all different tasks happening, but you and me have learned to tune it out or multitask. These individuals struggle with it. And one of the things that we more don't realize is their stimulation with light. A bulb or a tube light in your room when you're working with them can make a difference. And all of this coming together then manifests in their ability to plan and complete tasks on time, managing deadlines. If you don't remember, have this concept of time, That means you don't understand what today, tomorrow, yesterday is. You tell a child there will be a test in 7 days. They don't know how much time that 7 days is and how to break it up. Submit this homework on Tuesday. Submit this homework in 3 days. What does that mean? What does 3 days mean? And the deadline is missed. So we want to keep sort of track of that. Also, because of their slow processing and taking time to complete a task, you may assign 3 days for a task, but they need longer. So that's another challenge. I'm going to play a short video that brings to light this, right?
The window.
Can you hear it?
Vijay is sleeping in his bedroom with a blanket on him. Sunlight is seeping in through the windows and he's almost awake.
Morning, Vijay. Wake up. Time to get ready for school.
Like most days, Vijay shows extreme disinterest in waking up and getting ready for school.
Vijay, get up. You'll be late for school.
Vijay grips his blanket tightly and yells at his mother.
I have a headache, Mom. I don't want to go to school today. It's always such a struggle to send you to school. Vijay, get up right now. I'm fed up with your constant headaches and stomach aches. Stop making excuses.
In the previous test, Vijay's friends are completing their tests quickly.
Today, C. Thomas would conduct the test. If only I can write the answers like my friends, I would be happy to go to school.
He attempts to answer the question he was familiar with, but was unable to spell the words he was attempting to write.
Time up.
Miss Sita is near Vijay's desk. She grabs his incomplete paper and looks at him in anger. Vijay looks terrified, almost close to tears, and closes his eyes. Vijay opens his eyes, finds himself in the bedroom, holds the blanket over himself, and pretends to sleep again. Does your child hate school?
And I think this is what we need to remember, that there are different aspects to a child: the academic performance, the social emotional well-being, and the emotional well-being as well. And when they all come together, you have a likelihood of SLDs. Yet, why did we say that it is important to consider them in India's innovative workforce? Because dyslexic thinking drives us all forward. It powers our life. You see, can you imagine your life without light, without a phone, without a car, without a plane, without a computer, without the ability to print? These are all individuals with learning disabilities. It powers our imagination. Who knows Leonardo da Vinci? He's one of the world's most famous and intelligent painters. Walt Disney, we've all grown up with Mickey Mouse. And he had a learning disability and converted that into a power. Steven Spielberg, he made movies like E.T., Jurassic Park. John Lennon, he's a famous singer, a Beatle. Cher, The Great Gatsby, Agatha Christie, they're all authors. Remember, in our mind, children with learning disabilities can't read, write, spell. They don't have comprehension. They're terrible at writing and putting thoughts down. They cannot do anything in their life. They can never do English literature properly. And these are individuals that break that challenge, right? They make great actors. They make great comics, all of those. These are all professions which are rich in language requirements. So they're not performing well in class, but they're succeeding professionally. And why is that happening? Because they're not getting the support. All these individuals figured out how to sort of navigate it. And then it generates employment. About 40% of self-made millionaires have a learning disability. And then most countries in the world, most companies in the world are now starting to look at hiring them. because it's driving innovation and productivity for them. It saves them money. Helps them create new products in short time. It helps them bring their skills, help them bring efficiency in the system. So now this is the big thing. Now you're probably sitting and thinking, yaar, ye disability hai bhi ki nahi? Like, are you sure? What are you talking about? Right? The fact is, har sikke ke do coin hote hain. There's a heads and a tails to each coin. And really, dyslexic think differently. Everything that they struggle with has a way for them to cope. And that's what we call dyslexic thinking. They have higher order thinking skills and competencies, like visualizing, innovation, communication, reasoning, logic, connecting the dots, problem solving, and seeing the big picture. These are all future ready skills that we are trying to build in our typical children. And these are children born with it. The problem is that their struggles overshadow this. So we often only concentrate on the struggles. We forget that they have these skills. And that's what we need to remember. And remember, the top universities in the world, MIT, Yale, Harvard, Brown, Stanford, they are inviting these thinkers into their campuses. So much so that dyslexia is so common at MIT, which is the world's number one ranked engineering college, that it's known as an MIT disease. India's Digital India Corporation, jiske under all our major IT, COVID happened, hamara DigiLocker hai, where we get our certificates now. These were all created. This company the organization that the government set up is called Digital India Corporation. And that was co-founded by Dr. Nicholas Negroponte. He's the founder of MIT Media Lab. And he himself has a learning disability. So over 80% of dyslexics actually contribute their success to these higher order skills. It's 40% of the world's self-made millionaire. 10% of the companies founded by dyslexics contributed $1 trillion to the global economy. By including them, empowering them, we can increase India's GDP by 1.2% annually. And I already mentioned that most Fortune 500 companies will be recruiting them. And yet, do you find this surprising that only 3% of people believe that dyslexia is a positive trait? Only 1 in 20 is actually getting identified in India. The number is much lower because of language. And 35% higher chance of dropping out from school. They have a 73% of them hide it from their workforce and employers. And most people don't understand it. So the question is how? The question is why should you and I care about this? Disability है, इनको support दो, फिर वो जो करते हैं उनके ऊपर है. But we should care, right? This is the group of minds that has actually built key sectors of our economy, which today contributes about 25 to 30% of the global economy. And two things to remember. They built it means they're part of the foundational innovation that happened to build this industry. Aviation, Wright brothers, like I mentioned earlier, right? Telecom, Alexander Graham Bell. So they didn't just do the innovation with sat in a lab. They did the innovation, they built the business case around it. They helped the industry and the supply chain. And then over a period of time, key innovation and progress within those industries have also been brought by these individuals. So they are builders of those economies, and they did it at a time where these sectors did not exist. That's what we need today. We need disruptors. Second, 30% of the workforce by 2030 will have a learning disability. We already know there are currently 40% of the self-made millionaires, and including them can actually increase GDP. This is not numbers I'm making out. This is global study. But why are they able to do this? Remember again, dyslexic thinking edge. Very, very critical. So why should you and me care, right? Because that's the difference. Remember Nitya's story. Giving her the support system, she was able to excel at a global level. Not giving her the success could mean that she would have dropped out of school. There is chances of them becoming delinquent, drugs, addiction, crime, and also they have a 46% higher chance of committing suicide. So what are the pillars of mainstreaming and being able to convert them into success? First is identification and screening. The other is remedial support and accommodations, inclusive teaching strategies. But with the inclusive teaching, the assessment has to be inclusive and leveraging technology. Since we have some time, what I would like to do now is bring and talk about identification and screening, because you all play a very critical role in that. So I already mentioned that we have 1 in 5 people with a learning disability, but only 1 out of 20 actually get diagnosed. And why is screening important? This is where it all begins. This is where we realize why the child is actually struggling and putting them on that right pathway, right? It enables us to access the real reason why a child is struggling, and not the what we assume, that the child is lazy, is stupid, is dumb, is not interested. But they may actually be struggling, and the others are just manifestations. If you screen them, then you can put them on a path of success. It prevents dropouts, because obviously if you're getting help, then you're not likely to drop out. It also narrows the achievement gap. It builds self-esteem, emotional and social well-being. It's also very critical so that they actually get access to their services. It can't be that there was one kind teacher or special educator that the child had, so they got support. But when they go into the real world or college applications or examinations in the board, suddenly the child is left helter-skelter. And the most important that we often forget is, when you screen them, you also know what their strength is, and you can build on those strengths. So early identification is crucial. It actually needs to be done using the right tools and 3-step: academic and cognitive performance, behavioral indicators, and development milestones. But remember, this is just screening. This is not a diagnosis, so you cannot label a child. It has its own repercussions, right? So in academics, we went through some of it. There'll be difficulty in reading, writing, learning to spell. Now remember, this is in all languages. It can't be that in English it's happening, but it's not happening in Hindi or in Tamil or in Telugu. If you have a learning disability, it's across languages, and the same challenges will come. The next is phonological awareness, being ability to put words together. The third is persistent and continued reversal of letters. 15 becomes 51. Saw, SAW, becomes was, WAS. It could also be at the sentence level, where it says, I came yesterday home, instead of I came home yesterday. So these are not grammatical errors. It's a reversal and mirroring, right? Other things could be things like confusion between today and tomorrow, yesterday and today, those kind of things. Left, right. Tendency to read inaccurately or very, very slowly, or reading without comprehension. Difficulty in copying accurately from the board or textbook. Now remember, all children will go through this till a certain age. So if I'm a non-English speaking student who suddenly comes into an English medium school, I will have this challenge. But the check is that I may while I may have it in English because it's not my primary language, I may not have those challenges in Hindi, and that's what you want to check. Okay. Life skills is often what we assume as bad behavior. They don't remember order of stories, logical statements, timetables, multiplication timetables, science procedures, days and weeks of the month, planning, those kind of things. Their books are often incomplete, very untidy, lots of cancellations. They have confusion left, right. You'll say stand behind a student and bang, they will sort of bang into them by walking. They butt into building, doors. They have difficulty in tying shoelaces. They get tired and distracted, and they'll be moving, always fidgety. They'll either be daydreamers, or they'll be very notorious. Those are executive functioning challenges that this child is facing. This is not a disinterested child. This is not a disruptive, bad behaved child. This is something you have to very, 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 very strongly remember this. And you have to remember that this is a child. These challenges are connected to the academic challenges. And then finally, the emotional well-being challenges, low self-esteem, confidence, frustration, stomach, headaches in the stomach, sometimes physical, it can be fever, being very sleepy, very tired constantly, very anxious. You'll see signs like the child reads half a page or maybe half a chapter and wants to sleep, saying, I'm very tired. These are all things that sort of come together. So the truth is, everybody in their life will fall into one of these categories at some point. What you and me need to remember is that these are children who constantly face challenges in all three. The other thing that we need to remind people and remember ourselves is that all three challenges are connected. A child who is reversing alphabets in school is not able to tie their shoelaces and is looking distracted in the classroom and seems to constantly be frustrated and disruptive, maybe doing it all for the same reason. So there are three approaches to identifying and screening a child. The latest DPWD guidelines from March 12th lay it out very, very clearly. These are the Gazette, it's a Gazette notification. Screening must happen by a teacher in the classroom when a child's grades drop unexpectedly or consistent poor understanding. Once the teacher screens the child and are found to be at risk, then the teachers must refer them to a school committee or the principal, have a conversation with the parents, and then refer it. Ask them for a formal diagnosis. Now, formal diagnosis is 3 steps. First is a clinical assessment by a pediatrician, pediatric neurologist, development pediatrician. They have to test for hearing and visual impairment. Next is a psychiatrist to do an assessment that it's not mimicking an SLD, it's actually a challenge. The next part of the clinical assessment is the IQ. This is absolutely essential. Only if you have IQ above average or above average IQ, can you have a learning disability. Often when a child has an average or above average IQ, they get denied of the SLD and they're told that the child has a learning outcome challenge. We have to stop this. We have to push to see why is that not happening. Why are they not allowing a child with an IQ which is average or above average do it? Also in the average range, remember, When they're closer to the lower bracket, that's when they give you the learning disability. They send you for a diagnosis. They don't give it if you are in the upper range of average. And then finally, the SLD diagnosis, which is through NIMHANS or GLAD. And there are standards to this, and now the department has also sort of updated, saying that as tools become available, more tools will be recognized. And then finally, there is a certification that happens. The department, as part of that Gazette notification, has also given this checklist. I encourage you all to use it. Work with the schools that you all are working, have your teachers use it. We have developed with ORCIDS another checklist, which is slightly easier. It covers the academic struggles, life skills, and emotional well-being, and asks that it should be in all three. And what we've done is, in some states like Bihar, we've embedded this checklist in the report cards. So every time a child is assessed academically, this list also gets filled. And then discussions happen as part of PTMs. The second is a large, so in this, what happens is often you will get a lot of children who've had a learning loss come into the group, right? Even though it's quite efficient. ORCIDS has a first screen app which is available in multiple languages. It was developed by Dr. Jayanti Narayan along with Geet. And it works, it's an online tool where you answer questions. It's available in 10 additional languages. It takes about 20 to 25 minutes. It should be done by a parent or a teacher, somebody who's very familiar with the child, has known them for at least 6 months. It checks on academics and daily life challenges, and then it covers these 9 domains. You ask questions, you answer questions, and then you get a result. And in the result, the report, you will be able to see if there are significant concerns, mild concerns, or no concerns, and it will give you sort of recommendations on how to help. And then this is the last tool by Nandini Singh Chatterjee. Dr. Nandini Singh Chatterjee, she's a leading neuroscientist of the country, works very closely with globally, one of the world's most recognized neuroscientists. She's developed a class tool that does cognitive testing. So the first two is dependent on observation. Your and my bias may come into when we observe. Whereas in class, what she's done is she's created a application in which you test for cognitive ability. And we've tested this and deployed it in multiple rural settings of the country, and it works very, very nicely even on low bandwidth. It's from grade 1 to 12. It's unbiased. It lets the child perform. It's not linked to curriculum, but cognitive ability, which is very beautiful because then you know what the challenge is of the child. It's against 3 categories: numeracy, literacy, and working memory. But again, this doesn't tell you whether you can count. It talks about number sense. So it measures cognitive ability required for numeracy, literacy, and working memory. It doesn't require you to have, this test can be done even on somebody who doesn't study, right? And if we have time, I can do a quick demo to show you all. Sir, can you unmute the team so they can answer questions quick, like these? Do these words have a matching ending? And somebody, if it has a matching, then put up, fingers up. If not, then down. So this is a tool, and it sort of, and it makes you test. Oh, unable to hear the audio. So then maybe I'll just sort of not do it. and I can share the link in the group, or we can share it later. The idea is once you do this test, you'll be able to check where the child lies. With a report, it gives you the phonological awareness. And this is a child who doesn't have a learning disability, but has problems in language comprehension and working memory. So you can address those concerns. And then you do it at the child level. You can also measure it at the grade level. And if you can do a school level analysis, right? So here, what the beauty of this tool is, you can tell whether a child is rote learning and excelling, is able to understand the content and excelling, is able to understand but not express, or is not able to understand. So you can capture all those type of children in the school. And that's the beauty of it, right? And then finally, you have a diagnosis and medical process that works with it, which I already went through, right? Like an IQ assessment, all of that. So with that, I will end. Let me share the demo link in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing, and while I'm happy to take questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask.
Yes, on the option, I'm just making them all unmute. Just a minute.
Okay.
Dear participants, I have unmuted. So please, you can ask the question to Noopur madam. Madam, there are some questions in the chat box also.
Yeah. The first screen is free, and Nerd Tools is case by case basis. So, I mean, it's best to contact her, or you all can reach out to me and we can create connects on how you all want to use it. But first screen I know is free. I put the links to both those tools on the group. Any other questions that others may have? Madam Kartikeyan, Kalasevi Kartikeyan, your hand is raised.
Dear participants, I have unmuted. So if you'd like to ask any question to madam directly, you can ask. Or if you want to put the question in the chat box, please do put. Kalai Selvi Kartikeyan, you have raised your hand. Ida Thomas, you have raised your hand. If you have any question, you can please ask.
Okay. Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Shweta here.
Yes.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
If you can share that link in the WhatsApp group, it will be great. The WhatsApp group which we got the Gmeet link. Can you please share that, sir?
Ma'am, I am not part of it. Dr. Ramchandran, can you share it? I put it in the chat box.
Okay, ma'am, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then one question, this is related to CBSE. So
Yes.
I just wanted to understand, by the age of 8, when a child is being diagnosed, what kind of, like, 9th and 10th board, we have different subjects. They can opt for those skill subjects, and right. So between, say, 3rd grade to 8th grade, what other things as a part of CBSE the child can pick up and do if they get the assessment done? Can you please help us understand that?
So, ma'am, CBSE now allows students to take a range of subjects. So, depending on the child's challenges, we encourage you to select what subject works for them. So ideally, what most schools like to do is give them very basic skill-based subjects, which includes home science, typology. They make you do performing arts, physical education, things like that. But I would strongly encourage you to decide subjects based on the child's interest to do. So my daughter, for example, is doing biology. She is doing business studies. Um, she was doing psychology, is dropped now, done is doing home science, and she's doing media studies. Entrepreneurship is available. She did computer applications and uh, business application in ninth and 10th as well. So all subjects are available. The one thing you should remember is they are allowed to drop first and second and third language. So Nitya does only one language, and CBSE allows you to drop second and third language and take subjects instead of that. But while you want to give an easy bracket for children, it really should be aligned to the challenge that the child is facing. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes. Madam Kalaisevi Karthikeyan, your hand is up. Would you like to ask a question?
Ida Thomas, you would like to ask any question? Your hands is up. Ida Thomas. Okay, we have Miss Bindu. Please ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I am a special educator. I worked in KV school, and we also got screened for many students, and we have more than 100 students with the learning difficult, like suspected learning disabilities. The problem is they are not issuing any certificate, ma'am. Even if they find in the GLAD or NIMHANS SLD, they are below grade 3 or 4. Only they are giving certification only for the grade board exams purpose only.
Ma'am, which KV are you with?
In Chennai, ma'am. No, but we are getting the certificates in this district, this one only, ma'am. Health centers like this.
I would suggest take the new DPWD. Dr. Rajesh Ramachandran, can we share my PPT with the team? What
Yes,
that?
ma'am. If you
So
can send me the PPT, I will share with the team.
yeah, we'll do that. Bindu ma'am, the guidelines are very clear after grade 3. In
Yeah.
grade 3 or age 8, they should start doing the diagnosis and
Yeah.
issue the certificate.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can go through the UDID website. A good way to do this is actually not go directly for the diagnosis, but what you do is you do the screening, then register on the UDIDI Swalayambam portal, take the appointment at that hospital, then they have to do the diagnosis and give a certificate.
Oh, really? Okay, ma'am. And they have any accommodation for while writing exam, ma'am, like a separate question paper?
Yes, so what all they get is extra time, alternative subjects. They get a scribe or reader, use of technology in maths, they're allowed to use calculators. Maths, physics, they're allowed to use calculators. They don't get an alternative paper, but they get more time to complete the paper.
Okay.
So in CBSE is a very, very supportive organization. And if I'm added to the group, I can share some of those resources.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Because KV has special rules that even because many of our students is suffering from this second language, Hindi. So they have an additional, but KV has no option for selecting like that.
But ma'am, that's a difference in a child having a learning disability and dropping a language.
No,
Versus,
all these have 9th and 10th, they have certificates, ma'am. 9th
then
and
they
10th,
should
they are
drop.
getting. Yeah.
They have to, because KV follows CBSE. then they
Yeah.
have to follow CBSE guidelines.
Okay. So if you give me that link, then we can get support, ma'am, because many of
Absolutely.
our students are suffering.
Yes, ma'am. There is from 2020, there is a guideline. I will share that link as well.
Yeah. Because I am also in many schools, ma'am, not only in KV, in
Yes,
many schools, this CBSE school, they are not allowing to take like this, ma'am. They are
yes.
adjusting. Yeah, and only from very, very few schools, they are giving that skill subject options also.
Okay.
And most of the CBSE teachers, they don't know the rules also. Even we special educators, we are telling, and they are not
Yes.
understanding the rules. They have to overcome the spellings and they have to overcome the
No,
sentences.
absolutely, ma'am. And a lot of training is happening, and the CBSE is working very hard towards it. I would
Yeah,
recommend writing to your regional CBSE office
yeah.
for clarifications. They will also give it to you. The
Yeah,
CBSE is
because
actually one of the
even
world's
the
most.
rules, whatever they have given is only on 2018, the same thing only. They are not rewriting also what are the exemptions, everything.
Right. Um, if I can go to the chat bot, there is Miss Tanya Batra has asked a question, ma'am.
Yeah.
In India, we don't have a tool for adult diagnosis. We are working on it. NIPID is making one. We are also making one with ORCIDs. However, there is a global tool called Woodcock Johnson that is globally accepted that can be used. And there are other multiple psychometric testing tools. Unfortunately, those are currently not recognized um, for making the diagnostic certificate. The department is working on solving that issue. Yes, Swapna
Okay, ma'am.
Srinivas.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Added to, excuse me, ma'am. I'm also a teacher. I'm also a
yes,
special educator. Added to Bindu ma'am's voice. Most of the schools, what's happening in CBSE is they are extending the child if they have any difficulty or something. They are extending the child either till fifth, or some children are coming even till eighth. After that, deliberately they are telling no, it is not possible for the child to undergo the test or the exams. So you take them to different school, and the child who is struggling, though we are putting effort as a special educators, the teachers also try to put, but their limit is that we cannot extend to that extent to help the children to their needs. So we don't know how to go through with this, ma'am. Parents also, we cannot guide the parents also correctly what to do for the next level of taking the child.
so I think you don't have, so the beauty in the system is while the teacher screens, right? The diagnosis is done outside of the school. So nothing stops a parent to go and do the diagnosis. So even me, even though I was in Vasant Valley, my daughter was in Vasant Valley, a top school, our diagnosis happened first in Mulchand Hospital and then IIM AIMS. AIMS Delhi, not IIM, sorry. AIMS Delhi is where the diagnosis took place. So it will be good to take the appointment and get diagnosis done in your region. Ma'am, where are you based?
I'm also from Chennai only, ma'am.
Yeah, so there are a couple of hospitals in Chennai that do it, government hospitals. I think, Dr. Ramchandran, what will be helpful is if we can share with the special educators the guidelines that have come in March 22 that lays out the process. If we can give all these special educators in the group that link, uh, and what that will give you is the legal standing of why this diagnosis must take place, and empower the parents to actually go and get a diagnosis and present it to the school. But this is the ladai jhagda ka response. This is like, I will fight for my child to be there in the school. One of the things you want to reflect on is the quality and the culture and the belongingness that the child feels. Does the child need to be in that school, or will they really benefit from going in another school? Remember, the child is a person that you're molding. Experiences of life today are going to make him that adult tomorrow. And we know so many people with learning disabilities who are traumatized even as adults who are 50, 60-year-olds because of what a teacher told them in childhood. Half my team has a learning disability, and they are constantly striving and trying to do beyond what is required because they're too afraid to look stupid or make a mistake. So, ma'am, while we are working towards putting kids in mainstream school, and yes, it is very, very, very wrong that they're being filtered out of the school system, and we need to change that. Till that change happens, which is the best place for the child to be? And how do we handle the parent to support that child's change? Chennai has beautiful inclusive schools. Alpha to Omega runs some. There are some really good private schools that are good, and we get access to them. I think keeping track of some of that makes a difference.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Madam,
I
you
know
can,
I sound idealistic in when I give these recommendations, but we work with 3 lakh teachers. We work in 6 states, and we are seeing that transition happen. One of the things that works is when I do this narrative of strength and struggle. And when you do small changes in a child, suddenly the child's confidence makes them grow very quickly. And we're seeing this in over 10,000 schools in our country. The key is, as special educators, how can you work on changing the attitude of the people? Policies वगैरह बाद में आएंगी. The moment you do the attitudinal shift, everybody will want to fix it. Otherwise, you'll be fighting with a wall. And with that, I think I will end. Sorry, Dr. Ramchandran, I interrupted you. Please go ahead.
Madam, you can put your details in the chat box so that they can, if they want to directly contact you, they can contact.
I'm also sharing a link of our chat bot. Okay, a lot of the questions that you all have, you will be able to get answers through that. So I encourage you to use it. So, you know, when you want to look for a like accommodation list, you want a circular, you want to understand process, just get answers and clarification. It's a good tool to sort of use. So feel free to use that as well. Okay, I think we're over time also.
Yes, ma'am. So, dear participants, Madam has shared her details. Madam has also shared the web page, Changing Foundation, and we will also try to share the chatbot, that Purple Flame chatbot, which Madam has shared, the QR code. That also we will share in the WhatsApp group, so that anything you would like to ask Madam or through the Purple Flame, you can always put your inquiries to that. So I take this opportunity on behalf of the team of NI PMD Chennai, and also on behalf of our director, Dr. Nachiketa Raut. We thank, on behalf of all the participants, we thank Madam Noopur Jhunjhunwala, the founder and trustee of Changing Foundation, for a very wonderful and a very comprehensive session today on our e-information series 23. Thank you so much, Madam. We look forward working with you in the near future, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here. I wish you all luck.
Dear participants, the feedback link has been put in the chat box. So kindly fill the feedback and then you'll get the certificates in a couple of days' time. Thank you all.